Well... all right. It's a bit hectic, you know. That was lovely. Yes. Katie up there in Glasgow. Oh, I shouldn't have given the game away there, should I? I should say it's a privilege to have my first guest on tonight. Known all over the world, although he's been in the business 10 years, still young enough to be Paul McCartney's son. In fact, he might be, for all we know. Big in Japan, huge in Eltham. Boy George.
Are you talking about me?
They still remember you.
What a nice boys here.
Now, one-time pop star, now really corporate record company boss with More Protein.
It's not really corporate, though. It's very small time. I mean, it's very sort of a bit like a cottage industry kind of company.
Yeah.
It's not really a sort of corporate thing at all, you know. I mean, people keep saying to me, are you the boss? I'm not really the boss. I mean, I choose what we put out, but most of the people on the label are friends of mine, so it's kind of incestuous.
Have you actually, you know, started smoking big cigars, though, and trying to sign bands on YTS schemes? It's only a joke. It's not
I like the shape of cigars, but I don't smoke them. No, really, I just kind of like... People on the label are really just people like good friends, people that I've known for a long time, or people that I've heard about through friends. I don't really go around sort of looking for people. There's quite a lot of people I still want to sign to the label that I know about. So I'm not really, like, scouting around like Huey Green or anything like that. I just kind of... I know about people. And I think if people are going to happen, they happen without my help. Record companies don't really break bands. Most of the bands that sort of get big are happening already, and record companies just come along and jump on them, really.
Are you actually more excited about music now than you were in the early days of Culture Club?
I've always been excited about music. You know, it's always been my kind of best friend, really.
But I mean,
as it says in the Queen song, you know, my only friend in teenage life, you know, music has been my kind of... sort of, you know, it's what's got me through, really.
Well, when you were at school, were you not into football then? Were you just into, like, getting records?
I had better things to do with my balls.
No,
I mean, to be serious.
Wait, you don't have to be. You've obviously watched this show before, haven't you?
To be serious, I mean, school for me was a nightmare. I hated it. I hated the kind of macho atmosphere. I ran screaming from there as soon as I could, really. I hated it, and the only thing that kept me going at school was music. You know, bands, sort of, you know, and the whole kind of pop culture. I hated school. I hated football. I hated the school showers. Everyone in my class was ugly.
Well, I mean, when you said you hated the macho thing of it, it's not as if you're a small, weedy bloke, is it?
Inside I am.
Well, aren't we all? But, you know, I mean the whole thing you were saying there about your school and everything, do you think if you'd have gone to a different type of school, one which would have catered to your more artistic leanings?
Well, school doesn't really cater for individuals, you know, it's better to have 30 people that do the same thing, and, you know, it's no good if you've got someone who doesn't really want to join in. I never really wanted to join in. I hated school. I mean, I think school's okay if you want to learn, you know. Once I'd learned to read and write, I just wanted to leave, you know, because I knew that I didn't want to be like a builder or work in a garage. I knew what I wanted to do.
So how old were you then, 15?
About 15. I mean, I left school when I was about 15. I got kicked out a year early.
Well, why do you think you've lasted so long in the business?
Determination, really. And because I need to pay the rent.
Well, that's fair enough, isn't it?
No, I think because... I mean, obviously a lot of people kind of, like, wanted to write me off, you know, because I think what happens with pop bands like Culture Club, the record companies try and kind of get as much money out of you as they can, and they try and sort of... They always think you're going to last 3 years and disappear, you know, and that could have happened to us. Well, it did.
I didn't really like to be the one to say, but the reason I was asking about your school days is because you are actually working on your autobiography.
Yeah.
You know, there'll be a few old classmates who'll be looking at that with interest.
Mainly I've talked about the teachers, how much I hated them, and how much they sort of psychologically tortured me for like 4 years. You know, I used to have this really horrible PE teacher, I won't mention his name, but he used to call me Lassie all the time. He was Scottish. And when I used to sort of like pretend to play football, I used to kind of hover around the edge of the pitch, you know, and pretending to do something. And he used to sort of always scream out, "Lassie, pick your feet up," and, you know, "you big girl," and things like that, you know.
They built character, though, didn't they?
Well, it certainly builds character. I don't know if it's the character they wanted to build, but it certainly builds character.
So, do you think they could make it into a mini-series?
What's that?
Do you think they could make a mini-series out of it?
I don't know,
And who would
really.
you like to play you?
I mean, I think the book is intended to make people laugh, you know, because, I mean, my life has been pretty funny on the whole. So I want people to laugh. I mean, school, looking back, you can look back at it and laugh, because it was, you know, at the time it was a nightmare, but now I can look back at it and think, well, I got my revenge, you know.
Well, listen, I'm looking forward to reading it. I'll ask you a bit later
You're
on
in it.
when it's coming out. I doubt it. I doubt it very much, so. Hey, listen, don't tell them all. I must actually say, one guy whose life might be turned into a mini-series, certainly on American TV in the next week, is Mike Tyson. Proceedings, well, he is actually being charged with rape, and proceedings start in America on Monday, and Katie's been over to the USA to find out the story. The Mike Tyson rape trial, that starts in America on Monday. Do you think it's, I mean, a crime like rape, it's hard to legislate against, isn't it? And with somebody like Mike Tyson, you know,
well, I think
do you think he's an easy target for that?
Well, rape's wrong, whoever does it, you know, and I think it should be kind of treated in a normal way, like any crime would be treated, you know, and unfortunately, it's a bit of a circus, and I feel really sorry for him. You know, because you can't really tell whether you think he's right or wrong. You get so confused by all the kind of bull that's going on, you know, it's really scary. I mean, I feel sorry for him, you know, I really do. I feel sorry for the girl as well, if it's happened to her, but you don't know what to think.
Yeah. Have you ever had things like, or known of similar things happening to you because you are a celebrity? People think you've got a lot of money, they can accuse you of something.
Those kind of things normally only happen in America, because, like, you know, the star thing is so much bigger there. I mean, that's never happened to me. I'm not sort of... People don't trail me and try to have sex with me.
Listen, this is a family show.
I wish. Never happens to me. No one ever touches my rear.
But also, I suppose in America you can actually get lawyers on a percentage, can't you? You only pay them if you win.
It's big business there. I mean, lawyers will work on a percentage of the trial, yeah, and they can make a lot of money. It's really scary.
Well, I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more about that in the next few weeks. You can join us after the break when we've got Jar Wobble and Sinead O'Connor, and also we look at the latest twist in the saga of the ruthless gangs in Los Angeles.
Which of these four celebrities has never appeared in Playgirl's 10 Sexiest Men list? Is it Woody Allen, Luciano Pavarotti, Boy George, Nicolas Cage? Find out after the break. The answer is Nicolas Cage.
Animatic, come on, get up here. I think he thinks he's Paul Gascoigne. Jar Wobble.
You're not.
Please. Let's sit down. I tell you, the guy thinks he's Paul Gascoigne now, don't you?
Yeah,
great to have you on the show. Are you going to move up this way, the two of you?
Just being polite, you know.
I should say, have you met Boy George before, Jar Wobble?
I'm doing right.
Sinead O'Connor, Boy George? I'm sorry, you know, I mean, I'm not supposed to know about all this kind of stuff, am I? Listen, it's nice to hear you playing there, but, I mean, you've been knocking around for, I don't know, what, 12 years heavy on the makeup in that film,
She liked fine clothes, though.
Well, I mean, you're into the reincarnation business, aren't you, New Age? I heard somewhere...
Into it? Well, how can you be into it?
I heard somewhere that you wanted to put Kylie Minogue in a flotation tank.
It's got nothing to do with reincarnation, though.
You know, people shouldn't slag Kylie off. It's a terrible thing to slag Kylie off.
We love her.
You know, just because, you know, it's really not a good idea.
Oh, I wasn't slacking her off. I was
no, I know,
actually saying...
just, you know, because lots of people do, you know.
I just said when I was doing my show on BSB, it would be good to get her in a flotation tank and then interview her afterwards, because then you'd get a really good interview when she was really relaxed. I thought it'd be a good idea. Let her float for a while and then talk to her. Yeah. You know, with the towel wrapped around. I thought it'd be a novel idea. But I do believe in reincarnation, definitely.
And she don't come out until she promises not to record again.
You're being a very naughty lad. We do love Kylie on this show.
Coles, Dire Straits, fucking everybody else.
Listen, you want to get some of the Spurs team in the flotation tank.
I'd rather... I thought my manager made it quite clear. I wasn't prepared to discuss Tottenham Hotspur after the incident 2 weeks ago.
That's right. I'm glad you mentioned soccer because, well, I'm sure...
So if they're reacting that way in their sitting rooms, they're going to react that way on the streets as well.
I mean, you're not actually... I mean, George, you're not actually a fan, are you, of rap or hip-hop music as such?
Who said that?
Well, you know, I mean, the image. You're not a fan of the image.
I like rap music, but I don't like the homophobic aspect of rap at all. I don't like the fact that they don't like queers. Having said that, that does exist in rock and roll as well. But obviously, you know, it is a big issue with rap, for me anyway.
I mean, you've always been into all kinds of music and everything. I mean, do you actually think that... yeah, well, I mean, all right, I'm not skipping over the subject, you know, but it's like... What? I was trying to bring Jar Wobble into this one.
You might regret it.
Why? do you actually think that the image that they portray is good for black music in the end when they do show, you know, videos of gang violence?
Why aren't we sitting here talking about the image that white musicians portray?
Yeah.
Why aren't we talking about that? Why is it an issue? We're having a conversation about it because it's rap music.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because we'd seen that film about the colours.
I know, but we didn't ever see a film about the things that white music has done to incite violence or, you know, abuse of women or any of those things, you know?
Well, I've just been... Oh! I mean, that is something, obviously, that, you know, we do try to cover on the show whenever we can. And something that we'll...
I'm not criticising you,
yeah.
I'm just saying, you know... There's your answer. That's the answer to all the questions you could possibly ask about rap music.
But they're still homophobic.
Oh, you had to get that one in, didn't you?
They are, though. They're
anyway,
definitely homophobic.
Listen, I don't think the homophobic where our Katie is. Up there in Glasgow, I believe. Katie.
Here at the Grand Ole Opry, it's Happy Trails.
And thank you very much there, Katie. Nowhere like a Wild West, as much like the Wild West as Glasgow on a Friday night. George, we're going to be finishing off tonight with a guy called Jag Deep off your label. There's you. Come on, give it a flash at the camera.
Out in the shops now as we live and breathe.
There you go, More Protein, Closet Classics, a compilation album. And you're on tour, I believe.
Yeah, but first, where's the camera? Can I just say a message? Hayley, Natalie, I can see ya. Look at the time. Get in bed! It's more important than the tours.
And hopefully I'll see you at the Rocket Club in Holloway Road next Friday.
You are a very... This geezer's actually all right.
And
we met a few years ago, That's why he's been nice to me. And yeah, you can have a few free tickets.
Lovely. And thanks a lot for coming in, Sinead. Hope to see you again. Maybe you'll come on next time you've got a single out.
I might.
Oh, we're sure a clip of you getting burnt at the stake in Joan of Arc.
All right.
And thanks a lot again, Boy George. We hope you come back again. Finish off with a real bit of soul music. Same from the Closet Classics album. This is Jag Deep, Who's Gonna Love You. See you next week.